Hello, my friends. Welcome to Bloom with Deb. I'm Deborah Burns, the director and founder of Bloom in Jax. I'm here in Jacksonville, Florida, and I am introducing you to incredible women who are biblically living out their mission. Meet my good friend, Cristi Schroeder. She is in Wisconsin. We met on Instagram recently, and I'm still learning about her ministry and her life. So I just want to invite you in on the conversation. So join us, Cristi Schroeder. Welcome. Introduce yourself. Say hello to my Bloom with Deb community.
Hi, ladies. It's me, Cristi Schroeder. Like she said, I'm from Wisconsin. That's how we say it here. I am a pastor's wife of over 20 years, and I have two teenage boys, 14 and 17. And I have recently started my own business about a year and a half ago. And so I'm living the entrepreneur, solopreneur life, which has worked well throughout this whole world pandemic and staying home with the kids. But it's an adventure. And just like Deb said, it's been so fun to be able to get to know other women from all around the world through Instagram and things like that. And I'm just glad to connect with you here in that same kind of way today.
That's awesome, Cristi. Thank you. As you can see, I have the world map behind me. You have the United States. I'm looking at myself in Jacksonville, Florida.
Wait, this way.
So, hello, Jacksonville. This is so much fun. Oh, I'm so grateful that we can connect this way. I want to learn more about your ministry. First off, if you'd like to tell us more about Altered Story. How did it start? Did God download this to you? Or did it evolve over time? Tell us about Altered Story.
Yeah. Well, Deb, just like I just told you, Altered Story today is a membership and a mastermind where I am mobilizing Christian world changers and just encouraging these Christian leaders to go out and change the world in their own way, impact people in their own way. But it did not start like that. When I was a stay-at-home mom with two little kids, they were about 3 and 5 years old. I went to a women's conference, and it's a really long story, but the short story is that God really showed me for the first time about the issue of human trafficking. And throughout this weekend, I came to realize that Moldova, Eastern Europe, was the number one exporter of victims of human trafficking. And it just so happened that my youth pastor from when I was a teenager had just become a missionary to Moldova. And so I believed that I was supposed to go to Moldova, Eastern Europe, to learn about human trafficking, which is what we thought was going on way over there. And my friend Amy said, well, then I'm going with you. And for a year, I learned about human trafficking, and it was really, really difficult, but it was also really important to just start raising awareness about human trafficking with people around me who had no clue what that was. None of us knew about that. And we ended up going to Moldova, Eastern Europe, and interviewing embassy officials and pastors and nonprofit organization leaders. And I learned so much about human trafficking. And the trip changed my life, of course, forever. We met girls that had been trafficked and just seemed like teenage girls from my own youth group. And coming back, I was asking God in the US, what in the world can I do to help with this issue? I am a pastor's wife who is staying at home and don't have a lot of money, and I don't know how to help. But what I loved to do was to create crafts and do artsy stuff. And so I love everything vintage. Thrift stores are my jam. And I started making little goodies out of vintage books, little household decor, or just pins, different things that women might want to purchase, and started selling those things at art fairs and on Etsy. And I did that because while I was altering the stories, these paper books, I was hoping to alter the stories of human trafficking victims by giving back to this cause. And that's how it all started. And throughout the years, as I discovered my purpose, I felt like God had shown me that beyond being a stay-at-home mom, beyond being a pastor's wife, I was still very discontent and empty, looking for meaning, looking for why God put me on this earth, and I could not figure it out. And I finally felt like God gave me a purpose to help victims of human trafficking and to try to alter their stories. But as I felt that purpose, I wanted other women to start to feel this joy and this peace and this excitement for life that I finally felt. And so I started putting on purpose parties where we could do something creative, but I would also talk about personal growth or finding and discovering what God has for you. And that was going on in person. But then I was working a real job by the time this is probably 2009 is when I went to Moldova. And just about 3 years ago, I was listening to podcasts on the way into church, on the way into work about online business. And I started to dream, how could purpose parties be put on online? And how could I reach women with this message of purpose online? And that's how it started. But it evolved to really that community being the number one thing that women wanted. They wanted to find other purpose-driven women so that they weren't trying to go out there and do this all on their own. They wanted some connections. And so I specifically reach out to leaders like I was, a pastor's wife. We've got entrepreneurs, we've got nonprofit directors, leaders, because leaders sometimes find it hard to connect with other leaders in this very busy world. We're often with the people that we're serving. And so this group connects leaders for the purposes of God. And it's just such a blessing to I still am creative on some of the things I do. And I still give back to the anti-trafficking cause. And I still am raising awareness about that. But I've discovered that God didn't just have one purpose for me. He had many purposes for me. And now I wake up every day and lead this group to seek out, God, what are your purposes for me today? And just the amazing adventure that God can bring us on when we're open and realizing that he has different assignments for us, different people to connect with, different purposes. It just lights us up. This group is such a blessing because we are truly living to glorify Jesus, but he does that in each of us so individually, so uniquely, and it's so fun. So that's a long story, and I appreciate you listening, but that's how Altered Story originated, and here we are today.
I love it. Okay. Well, this is exactly what Bloom with Deb is all about. We want to showcase what people are doing around the country and around the world so that we can inspire and motivate other stay-at-home moms or Christian missionaries or pastors' wives or anyone. I laughed at when you mentioned the real job, because being at home with your kids and doing all of this on the side is real work. And I applaud you for taking all of this on, even when you had a 3 and a 5-year-old. And now that you're raising teenage boys, you are helping another generation of men growing up. I mean, think about it. The issue of sex trafficking is the byproduct of how we're raising young men. And so you're doing your part by raising 2 godly boys in a Christian home with Christian principles, to learn how to respect women, to learn how to treat girls. So I applaud you in your real work, whether it's being home with the boys or serving women online. So I'm excited to meet you and become friends with you. And as a Christian leader, I'm excited to join your membership. So tell me more about the next cycle that you are introducing people from all over the country to join your membership to learn from you once a month. So it's an easy, quick commitment of Thursday nights, I believe. Tell us more about how we can join your membership to continue growing in our personal development.
Thank you, Deb. Yes, Altered Story is a membership and a mastermind. So there's 2 different aspects to the sisterhood. And actually what it is it's basically off of Facebook, but it's a similar community where every single day I make a post and our women comment on that post and give their own insights and ideas about that post. And it's all purpose related. And then once a month, we do have a Zoom conversation. And so then we dive deep for about an hour with ladies to talk more about that and how it applies to our lives. And women can join. We have our doors opening coming up in April. For those that are on the Altered Story email list, they will get the early bird pricing on the 20th of April. And then 2 days later is when I officially open up to everybody. And I would love to welcome in new sisters into this sisterhood who are purpose-driven, action-oriented, and really seeking to glorify God. It's not about our own story. He's the author and perfecter of our faith. And I just believe that God is writing unique stories. And it's so exciting to be a part of watching these unfold in this sisterhood of women.
Great. Thank you. How do we join your email list? Is that what you want us to do, or should we subscribe through Instagram, or how do you want us to contact you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Altered Story, but to get that early bird pricing, I would encourage you to go to the Altered Story link tree address, and I can put that in the notes here. But it's Linktree Altered Story. So if you know how to find that. And then there's some freebie options in there. There's one about growing in relationships 2 ways. As leaders, sometimes it's hard to grow in relationships with other peers who understand you. And there's one about seeking God's direction and discovering God's will, which that's what this is all about, right? Is just seeking God and following his leading.
That's huge. Good. Well, again, at Bloom with Deb, we want to connect you with the amazing resources out there that Cristi is making available to you. So please connect. We will share that information on how to connect with Altered Stories so that you can find out more. So thanks for joining us for today's interview. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Stay tuned for more Deb's Devos, and don't forget to subscribe to Bloom with Deb. Have a great day. God bless you.